Okay, so this lesson is energy lesson number 2, and we'll be talking about energy changes. So the lesson intention for this lesson is to understand that energy changes from one type to another, and the success criteria, which are the things that you need to be able to do by the end of the lesson, is to be able to identify energy changes, to be able to say that energy cannot be created or destroyed, to be able to describe the law of conservation of energy, and also use arrows to show energy changes. So these things are the things that you should be able to do, these 5 things, by the end of this lesson. So let's just have a recap of last lesson first of all. In the last lesson, we talked about that energy is the ability to do work. That energy makes things happen. We are able to play sports, watch TV, or just go on with our day-to-day life because we have energy. And there's different types of energy. So for example, we've got here light energy, because we can see that there's light coming out of the light bulb. We also know that there's also electrical energy, because this light bulb needs electricity to be able to make the light energy. What we've got here also is a bunch of fruit. So we've got apples, bananas, and oranges, and that kind of energy is chemical energy. So when we eat food, we get chemical energy, which our body then can use to let us walk, run, learn, whatever we need to do. Over on the bottom left-hand corner, we've got a person playing a guitar, and this is going to be sound energy, because we can hear the energy, we can hear the music. That is sound energy. And lastly, on the top left corner, we've got 2 types of energy, and these 2 types of energy were the special types of words that we've learnt last lesson, which is kinetic energy and potential energy. So remember, kinetic energy is energy from movement. So if anything is moving, it's got kinetic energy. For example, even this guitar, this person is moving here. Let me circle it. Okay, the hand needs to be moving up and down to strum the guitar, okay, to make sound. That is also kinetic energy as well. So anything that is moving is kinetic energy. So as the bicycle is riding from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, it's got kinetic energy. When it gets to the top of the hill, it's got the highest potential energy it can have at that particular point, because it is up really high. It hasn't, the bicycle person has stopped at the very top of the hill. He hasn't rolled down yet, but he can. Okay, so he has potential energy, the potential to do something. Potential energy is also called stored energy, if you can remember from last lesson. And as he rides back down again, he'll be moving, so he'll have kinetic energy. So these were the main types of energy that we learned from last lesson. Okay, so what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to look at how one type of energy can change into another. So for example, if we look at the light bulb, how does electrical energy turn into light energy? Or how do we use chemical energy to allow us to run and work, etc. What we mean is, for example, that if you have a light bulb, as shown here, okay, this light bulb is changing electrical energy to light energy. It is not making light energy. The only reason why that light energy is there is because the electrical energy is changing into light energy. Now, in science, instead of using the word change, okay, we like to be a bit more fancy and a bit more complex. We use the word transform. Okay, so transform is the same, exactly the same as change. So instead of saying energy is changing or energy changes, we say energy transformations. That energy is transforming from one type to another. Okay, just like those robots, transformers, it's changing from one thing to another. Energy transformations. And instead of me writing a sentence going, this light bulb is changing light energy, this light bulb is changing from electrical energy to light energy, which is a very long sentence, okay, scientists, we like to be a bit more simple. We use arrows, okay, to show that energy is changing from one thing to another. So this arrow means that it is changing. So for this example, I'm just going to change color pens. So for this example, for me to write like light energy, okay, is being changed from electrical energy, or electricity is turning into light energy, I'll just go light. Sorry, it's actually not a second. We're starting from electricity. I do apologize, okay? We start from electrical energy. And we change into light energy. Okay, so writing it this way, electrical arrow, light, is a lot simpler than writing electrical energy is being changed to light energy. Okay, so we just use the arrow to indicate this change. Yeah, let's look at some other examples. What we have, so say for example, we will going to, let's look at some other examples. To say for example, we are going to have a look at the guitar example. Okay, so if I am playing a guitar, okay, a guitar, you need to actually use your hand to physically strum the strings to be able to make some sound. So the energy transformation or the energy changes is kinetic energy changing to sound energy. So that means the person is moving their hands, so movement, kinetic. That kinetic energy is changing into the sound energy. So the way we'll write that is that it is kinetic energy changing to, so arrow, sound energy. So really, really simple there. Kinetic to sound. Just say we are going to eat an apple. Okay. It's going to make my apple a bit more fancier. Color it in red. Okay, so we're going to eat an apple. And we're going to use the energy from the apple. And we're going to be doing some cross-country running. Okay, so this is my person running. So what it is the apple has chemical energy. And if this person is running, it will have kinetic energy. So what is happening here is that we are changing the chemical energy from the apple to kinetic energy of running. So the way we'll write that, it will be chemical, okay, arrow changing into kinetic energy. Okay, let's do one more example here. Okay, so this was my example 1, this is my example 2. I'm going to do an example 3. Just say I am listening to some music on my iPhone. Okay, so I'm going to quickly draw an iPhone. So this is my iPhone. Okay, and it has music. Okay, coming out of it. Okay, so what that's doing is that the iPhone is using the electrical energy, okay, that is in its battery, and is changing that into sound energy. So what we'll have will be electrical into sound. Okay? Now, what is really, really important to remember is also the law of conservation of energy. So all we've done here is to show, using arrows, that one type of energy can change into another type. If you remember from the previous slide about the law of conservation of energy, it says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. That means that the kinetic energy you'll be putting in to strum your guitar, okay, is going to be exactly the same amount of sound energy that will come out. Okay, so exactly the same amount of energy, because no energy can be created or destroyed. Same thing with the apple here. This chemical energy, the amount of chemical energy in the apple, if that's the only thing that you're ever going to eat, the kinetic energy that you'll be able to use is going to be exactly the same as this one. They're going to be exactly the same. Okay, so the chemical energy cannot be created or destroyed. all of it is being changed to the kinetic energy. Okay, same thing with the iPhone example. Okay, example 3, the amount of electrical energy changing into sound energy is exactly the same. So if I've got, like X amount of electrical energy, there'll be X amount of sound energy. None of the electrical energy is being created or destroyed. Okay, all of it is changing into sound energy. That is extremely, extremely important to remember. Okay, so let's recap on what you need to know. Okay, so recap what we need to know. Okay, this brings us to something called the law of conservation of energy. So the law of conservation of energy, which is this law here. Basically, what this law says is that energy cannot be created, so cannot be created or destroyed. You cannot make energy, you cannot destroy energy. In the whole universe, so the Earth, the solar system, everything, okay, we have a definite fixed amount of energy. Okay, let's say we've got like this much amount of energy. Okay, what happens is that energy can only be changed from one type to another. Okay, you can't make more energy, you can't destroy the energy, you can't make it go away. The only way, in everyday life, we always talked about how we use up energy. Okay, the only way you can do that is to basically change from one type to another. From one type to another. Okay? Remember, this is really, really important. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change from one type to another. So what do we mean by that? Okay? So let's recap what we need to know. First of all, we need to know that there are different types of energy. Different types of energy. That's the first thing we need to know. Okay, so for example, there is chemical energy, sound energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, etc. There's millions and millions types of energy. The second thing that we need to know is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So energy cannot be created or destroyed. Okay? Energy can only change from one type to another. Okay, so it is really, really important to remember that the whole world has a fixed amount of energy that has always been there. Okay, you can't make energy, you can't destroy energy. You can only change it from one type to another. Okay, so if you want to listen to music on your iPod, you have to change the electrical energy into sound energy. And the amount of electrical energy going into your iPhone or iPod and the sound energy that's coming out is going to be the exact same amount of energy, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. And the last thing is we use arrow to show energy transformation. So this arrow, it means change. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 2. Okay, so please remember, these are the main points you need to know, that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change from one type to another.